so that we can share the video in the future. All right, now we should be good. All right. Let's do this. Okay, so thank you all for joining. As mentioned, today we're going to talk especially about the digital transformation in food and beverage industry. So lately, a lot of things have happened, that's for sure. And I think this is something that for me, it's very important. This is a real reality check. So myself, for those who don't know me, among the people we have here, I think that a few of you already have heard about me. I'm Greg PRUDHOMMEAUX. I've been in China in Shanghai, especially for 14 years. And I have a huge focus on food and beverage, but I have two hats, let's say. So I have one hat, which is definitely linked to the food and beverage and how to grow restaurants and about the businesses. And I'll get back to this a little bit later in what we do. And on the other hand, it's a very tech focus. I'm also the president of La French Tech in Shanghai, which is an association to help French startups to grow in China. And with these two hats, basically, I focus a lot on finding the solution that can help restaurants and maybe the new ways that they can help restaurants to actually grow their business. And basically, the way we were working so far is when I was talking to all the startups we are working with, that you can see here, some of the projects and companies that we work with, we realized that all the questions that we were having here and there, actually the conversation we were having, they can definitely help other restaurant owners or even startups, actually tech startups that are focusing especially in the food and beverage industry. The problem is that everybody is talking about digital transformation. It's easy when you are L'Oréal and you send everybody to home and work remotely and everything, but how do you actually do it when you need to have a chef and you need to have a bartender and everything on the spot? So with the coronavirus situation, it's very clear that there was several issues, okay? Every restaurant that were what we call standstill, so this is what I call when I talk in face-to-face to people, like a real restaurant with tables and chairs. Those ones definitely, they were having some issues. They were not doing delivery, everything was closed, everything was stopped. So this was very difficult because very high rent, very high salaries. I mean, most of you are working in the industry, so you already know how it was. The other problem, of course, is the people, and we can still see right now that the weather is beautiful, but we were looking in some chat earlier, people cannot open their terrace. Locals, also Chinese customers, they don't necessarily want to go out yet, so it's still very complicated. There is a fear, there is a migration, there is so many things that are going on, right? So everybody, we needed to ring the alarm, and everybody was talking about this. And when we were talking to our startup, definitely we say, okay, there is something that can be done in what I call the food tech and the restaurant tech, which is a F&B in general. So what we do with the companies that we are working with is a business model optimization. We want to make sure that those guys are going to succeed in some ways. We're going to focus and help them on day-to-day operation so that they work on their vision on changing the world. We work on strategic partnership, connection with expert corporates in F&B. We also help them on putting people together. We have been working in this industry for a long time, so we know how to put people in contact and try to make things a little bit easier for everybody. And of course, at some point, we always need a little bit of cash, and we help them on finding fundraising, business essentials, some corporate innovation. When I talk about corporate innovation, it's really about all these big corporations that right now are finding solutions to invest in startups or to work with startups in order to get fresh ideas and go and solve more issues. So basically, with a hat like mine, with two hats, the tech and the pretty visible also in the community, we try to use a network that we have been developing for more than a decade to actually make everything work. We were saying that we are working with several projects. Some of the projects that I'm mostly involved in are everything that is Yobantai, Yoban Tuk Tuk, and Kin. That is now Kin, Yobantai Kitchen or Yongkanglu is a partnership with Camel Group and Camden, if you have heard of her, from Bird and Egg on Xiangyanglu. So those projects are mainly in Shanghai, and then we have Drinkwatery, drinks and delivery, on-demand drinks and delivery. And this kind of model is something that I like very much. This is exactly the same kind of model of Urban Tuk Tuk, and I will explain the story a little bit later. We have Nestor that is mostly focusing in Paris on on-demand food, but with a specific meal every day. We have Dodus that many of you have heard, and both, of course, we have Bevsite that we have been working with a little bit here and there, that is inventory management, and many other projects that I will probably get back to in the future slide. So what everybody is doing, when you're having this situation, what is everybody doing? Basically, everybody is looking at reducing the fixed cost. This is simple. This is very easy to say, okay? You need to keep the management that is working actually in place, and you need to find a way to mitigate the risk, to mix the risk a little bit, and try to make more money, maybe using different channels. So like I was saying in the introduction at the very beginning, it's very easy for big companies to say, okay, everybody go back home, you take your laptop, you work in your room, you watch a little bit of Netflix, and you still answer your emails. We have put a cloud system solution so you can have access to orders, accounting, HR, everything in the cloud. And of course, you have everybody that is selling something online, okay? But really, how does it apply to F&B players? This is very complicated, right? So in one way, it's true that definitely, like I was saying you cannot just go online and start selling your thing. It doesn't work. I mean, we have seen many restaurants lately that they never have done delivery before, and now from one day to another, they are just starting. And I'm sure things are not really working. Well, it's going to work a little bit because their community doesn't have yet access to the restaurant, but in the long run, it's probably not going to stick very much. And also because a platform like Ele.me or Meituan are going to kick them out if they are not selling properly. We tried the remote bartending. It doesn't work either. So this doesn't work for sure. You cannot put everything on video conference and just go with it. However, in one of the idea and stereotype idea that I believe is definitely false, is that there are definitely ways to limit the fixed cost, to create additional revenues, trying to think a little bit differently on the way you're going to do or you're going to deliver what we call the value proposition. So whatever you are promising to your customer, your clients, how are you going to find a new ways to actually deliver this? So where to start? Okay, so what I did during this presentation, at first, of course, it's a webinar, so it's me that is going to be talking a little bit more, because I've been trying to think about every angles that are right now working in the restaurant. And those angles are nothing surprising here. Okay, we have the kitchen, the service, the menu, everything that is related to payments, because at the end, someone got to pay, the experience, the booking, and the performance. Okay, performance is really in terms of management and control and everything. So what I want to do is kind of create a checklist. So I'm going to go through all these different categories, and I'm going to try to think about what has been already out there, okay, what is already working, and that probably most of you are already doing. And then we're going to try to see and be a bit crazy about it. Like, you're going to try to see, okay, how far can we go? If we are going very wide and very far, how far can we actually go? And you know that China has a lot of innovation. There is a lot of things going on. So there was a few ideas. A lot of these ideas that are listed here, we actually put them in place in some of the restaurants. You will see, of course, not everything, because some of them are really crazy, but there is probably something in the middle that you could do and put in place starting from next Monday in your own place. So today, we're going to do during this free webinar, during maybe a little bit less than an hour, a checklist. everything that is out there. Then you will have access to this presentation, and I will believe that with you and your team, you can go and do a very nice brainstorming and review everything and try to see how is this actually applicable to your restaurant or your shop or whatever is a business that you are doing. To give you an idea, in the crowd today, we have several people working in different industries. So we have restaurant owner, business owner for sure. We have startups working more in the performance side of it. We have other marketing agencies that I will consider are more working in the experience, and we can see a little bit about that. And of course, some of them are working in the distribution of products and trying to see also how the restaurants are working. All right, let's go through it. First of all, the kitchen. Okay, let's start with what it's all about. First, very simple, we are doing the checklist. Okay, so there is a traditional cooking. Traditional cooking, it's a big kitchen. You have chef, you have line cook, you have the DIE, the dishwasher. You have so many people here working in the kitchen. They are all expecting to have a certain amount of guests every day in order to actually get busy. Okay, so you are paying a fixed cost on all these people, and you have to make sure that they're going to be used in the most efficient way. Right now, when in terms of crisis, when either the restaurants are closed, you still have the salary, or when the restaurants are open and you are bringing everybody on the ground, on the floor, but actually you don't have any customer, this is a big problem. So in China, everything happened, right? You have everything. So we get cooking robots, and we have seen all these videos about handling the wok. We have all these pizza making machine that already exists pretty widely in Europe. You have all these that are doing noodles. This I consider we are not there yet. Okay, this is fun. This is part of what we call the show cooking. So people want to see something happening, and you all have heard about this coffee maker and cocktail maker that was at some point at the K11. I mean, this is a gig, this is a gimmick, as we said, this is something fun to see, but are you going there to order drinks, or are you going there to see the robot making your drinks? How often are you going to go back? So this is interesting, but I will skip on that. We are not going to all have robots in our kitchen. Then something I really like is the central kitchen. Okay, central kitchen is something that is very big in China. You have hundreds outside of Shanghai, actually. There are many things that could be possible. One of the big problems is a minimum order. Okay, the minimum order quantity is usually very complicated. On what I was telling you, on one of the restaurants on Urban Thai, at some point we were actually looking for a way to improve and make, let's say, bigger batch of product. And of course, we were in to talk to so many central kitchen, but the minimum order was just too high for us. We never really managed to find something that could do less than 5,000 spring rolls, for example. That was just crazy. No way for us to do it. So there is several things that we did. First thing is that for some of the recipe, we changed the recipe, and we only focus on the recipe that could do very well in very big quantity, could be put in bags, maybe frozen or not, depending on the turnover. But mostly what we did is we went to talk to a proper central kitchen that we were already in business with for other things, so that we can discuss the minimum order quantity. I truly believe that in the coming weeks, coming months, a lot of these kitchens that are actually very, very unutilized, most of them are underutilized, will be interested on trying to find a new way. One of the catch with a central kitchen, if you are not aware, is that usually you need, because of the FDA, especially in China, but I think it's the same all around the world, you will need to give your suppliers, and you will need to give the recipes, basically, because most of the central kitchen are going to hire, actually, they are not going to hire your team. You're going to have your chef or the control, like a kind of a quality control guy, is going to come and check that the recipes are done the right way, but they are not just going to use your team. So the recipe are not set. They are going to use that. But at some point, I mean, you have to measure everything. And what is going to be the secret sauce, the secret recipe? What is good with the central kitchen is definitely everything that is liquid, everything that is pre-cut, pre-cooked, all of these that can be sent by batch with very little amount, and then you can do a quick turnover with all the quantity. The shared kitchen, that's another thing that I really, really like. Okay, one of the Yobantai, if I go back to this example, Yobantai is a proper traditional restaurant with chairs and tables, and we have one on Changlulu in the French concession and another one in Dagulu, and we opened Kin with this. But a few years ago, actually, we decided to spin a little bit the whole project and say, okay, one of the biggest problems we had is that we could not open new location. So how can we open a new location without having to rent 300 square meter, right? So we decided to say, okay, maybe we just need 15 square meter, 20 square meter. And at that time, all the shared kitchen, what we call also ghost kitchen, dark kitchen, they already start mushrooming all around the city. So if you never have seen what is a central kitchen, there is probably somewhere that we are ordering from on Ulema that is definitely coming from one of the space, as you can see in the presentation here. You have to imagine a location, maybe 500, 600 square meter, usually on basement 1, B2 in a building, sometimes maybe even on the second floor, third floor in some buildings. And actually it's a huge space where they divided the space in 10, 12, 15 kitchen. Each kitchen have a takeout point, and you can see here on the photos on the left of your screen with all the delivery guys that are waiting through the pass. Some of them have actually a proper counter where technically they use a license, which is like a food court. And basically what they do is that you can come and pick up, so you cannot pay, but you can do on Ulema or Meituan or whatever, and you say, okay, I don't want you to send it to me, I want to pick it up myself. And actually you will have some kind of a counter and even tables that you will be able to use. Most of these places are really, really made for takeout. Among all the players, you have heard about Cloud Kitchen, you have heard about Huangxiaoti. There are many, many players right now. Those are the two biggest names. For Huangxiaoti, they are now topping around 100 locations around 5 cities. Tika, they have which is Cloud Kitchen, they have 30 locations in Shanghai and I think 40 in Beijing, and they are trying to double up very quickly, and they already have other cities open. Those guys, what they do is that they rent the space and they rent it out to a kitchen like yours, for example. So instead of going and look for location number 2, location number 3, and trying to open 300 square meter, you only focus on something that has a huge demand in terms of delivery, and you can see all the numbers through all the thing, and through you can see the numbers through the widget, and actually you can see how it's working. I can see that some people are struggling on the widget. So this location, to give you an idea, is usually around 8,000, 7,000 RMB per month. Usually you are working like a partnership. So that's a very big difference. When you go and talk to your landlord, I mean, nobody wants to go and talk to their landlord, right? When you go to your landlord, you know he's going to negotiate the fees. He's going to ask for something more. You are never going to get anything from them. Most of the time, it's very complicated. Here, when you work with a shared kitchen, it's a bit different because those guys, their success is definitely linked to your success. And there is a real partnership. Like I put here, actually, and we will see that later, a lot of this shared kitchen are actually offering solution for supporting your WeChat, your Ulema, and try to really help you on managing all your marketing campaign. So those guys are doing very well, and there is no surprise that the ex-founder of Uber, Travis, invested a lot of money in the brand that is called Cloud Kitchen, that is here in China under the name Tika. And they have, I went to visit a location last week on Thursday around People Square. We visited 5 different locations. Out of this location, they all have between 10 to 15, let's say, restaurants or facilities. Most of them are on delivery only, but a lot of them also have a food court. If you want to go check it out, you have one on top of the building of where you have the cinema on People Square, right in front of the Starbucks, next to around the Porsche and Maserati. You have one on the second floor here. This is a Tika location. Okay, with a service. On the service, of course, you have the traditional waitering, nothing special here. There is everything that you can do that definitely you have someone that is bringing dish from the kitchen or from the counter to the table. More and more, there is way to improve the interaction with the staff. Sometimes we are surprised on how in Europe, some restaurants can have 1%, 2% dealing with 50 tables, dealing with 80 tables. And here in China, it feels like you need at least one waiter per table almost in order to make sure that things happen. But there is a problem in terms of management, training. There is a lot of things and time spent. And also because very often the owner of the business is not necessarily the one on the ground managing the restaurant. In terms of waitering, now we see that there is many other options. There is, of course, a pickup service. Okay, so like I was saying earlier, you order and you go pick it up yourself, which is kind of the approach of Luckin Coffee, where you order on your app and you pick up your coffee right from the counter. You have the approach that, for example, Wagas Group in China decided to use, which is you order at the counter and then actually you will use, they will call you to go and pick up your dish. This is another way. People will believe that well, they could bring my dish directly to my table, but for them, they cut a huge amount of staff, I believe, in order to not have to deliver the dish right to your table, and definitely less training. However, not every level of restaurants are going to be able to do this kind of things. Here in the photo, I put a picture of our friend Dodu from when he used to have a location in the Rail Plaza. Rail Plaza, they used to have this food court. They still have this food court, and a lot of groups, actually, Al's Diner, the Camel Group, everybody was trying to get a location under that because they got sold on the idea. But there was many issues here. And one of the big issues was that there was actually no table. People, they were ordering, getting their dish, and actually they had to find another place to go and eat, probably actually back to their desk in their office, because it was not really a food court. It's really a place like you will find in Japan, in Tokyo, actually, for those who have been traveling a bit. You will have these places that are all food vendors, and actually you take the order and you go eat somewhere else. There is no shared table. So in this case, this is a takeaway only. Of course, the cost of the location is very different. However, the value proposition has to be put accordingly. On Urban Tuk Tuk, again, because that's an example that I control very well, we have one location like this that we tried in Loshan Guanlu, where used to be the Naked Hub in Shanghai, now became a WeWork, where there is a food court downstairs. And actually, it is a pickup location. There are some shared tables. Most of the clients are actually bringing it back to their desk directly. What I wanted to say here is that either if it's a waiter or pickup location, or even the robot, like we see here in the photo in a Roma shop that we start to see more and more, actually, especially due to the coronavirus right now, where people are avoiding human contacts. So they are trying to put something in between. I believe that there are ways to adapt the way you serve your clients based on first, who are your clients? What do they want? How much are they paying? But definitely there is not one way to do it. There is many ways to do it. And we have to review and to think, okay, which one is actually appropriate to us, or which one is the less crazy that we can actually put in place for us. Delivery. I'm all about delivery right now. This is something that I really like. We have, of course, the third-party delivery, Ele.me, Meituan, but here I try to put also Grabits, Deliveroo, Uber Eats, and of course our friends at SharePass. You have many ways to use the delivery. There is, as you know, the third-party platform, but you also have your own WeChat store. Some of the shop, I think that we have Benjamin from WIT here in the audience. For example, they are focusing on their WeChat store. They are trying to only get delivery from their WeChat store. And we actually saw that lately with the virus that some big brands, big restaurants that were almost not doing any delivery, now they are starting to do delivery because they are saying, maybe we can add a few bucks here. In our case, we separated the brand because we wanted to have a brand that is offering a dining experience with a special price that is in link with the experience that you are buying. The dine-in experience where you are sitting at the table with a waiter, with the music, with, I don't know, everything that is done here, the ambiance, the moment that you are selling is for sure priced differently than what you are getting from a plastic box or a paper box if it's better, directly to your door, right? So what we did is we actually changed the pricing of the things. We actually even changed the brand, Urban Thai, Urban Tuk Tuk, because we were sure that we were not being able to deliver exactly the same thing. And here, when you are working with the different options that are already out there, you have all these delivery guys. You cannot control the way those guys are delivered. So you have to make sure that whatever you are delivering is ready to be maybe checked a little bit from one red light to another. If it's rainy, if the guy fall, there is many things that can happen. And who is going to be blamed? You know, like when the clients receive his dish that are upside down in his box, you have to make sure that they understand that this is not your fault. However, where do you think that the idea is going to stick? We saw some packaging, for example, I always remember Charlie's Burgers packaging in Shanghai that are very cool, where the burger, they cannot move, right? So you have to think about this. For us, when we developed Urban Tuk Tuk, we decided actually to focus on the curry, because everything that is liquid can be properly sealed. It doesn't get cold. Actually, something that is liquid is going to move and stay hot quite well. It goes well during winter, summer, and everything. This is very easy for us to produce in big batch and to actually deliver. One of the things that I'm sure it's going to become something interesting, especially with those time, is a very last mile delivery. Drones delivery and everything, this is a gimmick also. We are not there yet. I don't see anyone opening the window from the 30th floor somewhere to welcome a drone. So the problem is that with all the delivery guys that cannot enter a building, there will be something happening between the delivery guy at the door and you and the clients as a customer, as the desk, that will have to take the elevator, go down maybe 20 floors in order to pick up his dish. All of this is going to be quite complicated. And I'm sure that some startups are going to start working on the very last mile delivery. On the menu, we have different ways to use the menu, okay? Everybody has been using the paper version with photos and everything, and we know with multilingual and everything that we are having here in China that we need to have a menu that is selling well. The way to place your dishes, the way you price every dishes, it has to be something. Like I was saying in the previous example about the delivery, of course, I think it makes sense. If you are not selling the same value proposition, the price has to be different, but the way you introduce your menu, your dishes have to be different as well. One of the first mistakes we did, and I see many restaurants that are doing it right now, was we took our menu from the restaurant, we took the photos, the pricing, the quantity, everything, and we just upload it online. It doesn't make sense. Who are the clients buying product on Ulema that are going to spend 80 RMB for a dish? 120 RMB for a dish, even more than that. This is possible in a restaurant that is nicely done with a proper service and everything. Very complicated when it comes within 30 to 40 minutes in a box and maybe half hot, right? So for me, it's very important to see that some people that have been using the delivery has to adapt a little bit about their menu. And there is many ways to do that, okay? This is something we can also discuss in the future. Of course, there is a tablet digital menu. This is nothing new here. However, we're going to see in the next step here that now more and more we are using the self-taken orders. People are ordering by themselves directly using a QR code at their table. Element Fresh has been doing this, Wagas have been doing this, many restaurants have been doing this. This is actually quite simple to put in place, to be honest, and it helps you to actually control more data about your clients. Same thing, this is not addressable to every level of restaurant. If you have more high-end approach, you are probably going to have a better focus on using a tablet with nice photos, maybe more information, or a proper old school menu. This is what you're selling. However, more and more now, people, they want to be able to do that online. And coming from our friends at Element Fresh that we have been working with, we know that they have been selling in average 20% more in terms of total value per person using their QR code. When you look at McDonald's that have been putting their board where people are taking the order right away from the screen first, a touch screen, and then they pick it up at the counter, same thing. Actually, they also claim through a mini article that they managed to get an upgrade, an upsell by 12, 15% in average. So there is something happening here. People are less shy. They are willing to be tempted in a different way to take the extra large, for example, drinks. Another things that we have been working on is the QR code and the pre-order. Pre-order is something that we don't see so much right now here in China, but it's already working very well in Europe or in US. Here in China, the best example is, think about Luckin Coffee. You are in your taxi, in your Didi, and you are arriving at your office, or you are arriving in an area, you know that there is a Luckin Coffee. You can order directly from the car, pay everything, you arrive, it's ready, you just have to pick it up and go. This is something also that if you have a digital menu, this is actually pretty easy to do. Right now, for sure, I'm seeing that there is a Q&A. Right now, for sure, there are many ways to do it, but we're going to review this in a bit. Okay, I'm trying to get the Q&A. Let's see that. Which company proposes a self-taken order app? For the app, so that's Paul that is asking for a self-taken order. You have different startups, like I was saying, that are actually offering this solution here in China, all using WeChat. Actually, Mini Program can do that. It's all about putting QR code. We can work on that and give you some ideas later, but the one that I've been doing in Element Fresh, you have many startups that are already allowing that, where you have a simple QR code with a table number that you can actually just link to the order. And also, which is also very important, the checkout. Right away, you can pay. Right away, you don't have to have a waiter that is coming from order. It's also avoiding a few steps in the process. In terms of name of startups and everything, we can do that a little bit later. Okay, payments. On the payment side, here we have different things. There is a traditional, so for those of you who are in China, actually not everybody is concerned, but cash still exists, bank card still exists. There is a still traditional way to do it. The digital wallet is something that is strong here, but not everywhere yet. So you have the QR code, as we know already, the contactless, like Apple Pay, or in Europe, in US also, you're going to be using this. And we start to see more and more the facial recognition, which is what you see here in the photo. I use the example of Sodexo, where actually you see this person that is putting the trail is scanned, you can recognize every dishes, and then you can check out right away with the facial recognition. I'm working on another research for innovation in F&B that is linked to coronavirus. These kind of things have been booming. People don't want other people to actually touch in their food. And I think that the fear is going to grow. So you will have a way. Not everybody is going to put a robot in their restaurants. Again, this is not the idea. However, look at how small it is. Actually, it is very, very small. Like you can see the photo next to the app. It's actually very simple to do and very small. It's still quite expensive, I believe, but things are going to be so easy right now that people are going to be able to go back to this kind of model also. This is more for coffee shop. This is more, of course, for high traffic kind of place. The way you're going to be able to get people to pay is everything that is linked to memberships, to member cards, the loyalty program, all of this. Here we can, I gave an example of KFC, for example, but the famous one is Starbucks, of course. A lot of people here are using Nosh POS. Also, Nosh POS is offering this kind of credits that you can use and redeem some point. Of course, Olema, Meituan, every platform has a membership. But you also have different way where, like for the gym or like anywhere, where you can actually have people dropping some cash in advance and pay in advance. This you have to consider and see how it is applicable also to your place, to your restaurant. In terms of experience, I think this is where the many people are failing right now, to be honest. You have great products, you have a great value proposition, your place is amazing, you put a lot of money on buying the proper chairs, the proper table, you spend a lot of time on developing very nice recipes, but nobody knows about it. You don't have a perfect location in high traffic, And I know that some people, they decided to say, okay, I'm going to pay maybe a little bit more just to have the best location in the high traffic. However, I don't want to do marketing. I'm bad at marketing and I don't want to do marketing. Here in Shanghai, last time we checked, I think there was like 25,000 restaurants or in downtown Shanghai or something like this. If you look at Genping, how do you want to stand out? There is so many things going on, so many offers. People are buzzing from one place to another. Your customers are so different. So everybody goes with this content. So you do a WeChat push. How many WeChat push do we receive every day? There is so many things going on. So you have to find a way to make it different. Right now, everybody is about videos. They all jump in Douyin and TikTok and all of this. However, again, this is a lot of content. So we have seen, of course, all the couponing, the special event invitation. I think that this is something that can work, and there is many tools available on creating a base, like the base base for your community to actually interact with you. This is the reason why you can see very famous chefs right now. They are all over Instagram. They are all trying to connect with their clients and try to go beyond. There is a lot of ego, of course, and they want to show their skills, but definitely it's also something to say, okay, I want to see what you guys are doing. This is also what food bloggers are doing, and we'll get back to this later. But you have to find a way to make your clients feel special. A lot of the people here in Shanghai have been actually succeeding with their WeChat dedicated group, where they interact, and you can see example where El Santo had a very active WeChat group where their community is actually asking, hey, are you open? Or what time do you do this? Do you have the brunch today? Same thing if you know QJ from Romuald here in Shanghai. He has, I don't know how many groups, like 4 or 5 groups right now, where every day people are asking, hey, can you book a table for 2 on the terrace? Same thing for Musgrill. Many restaurants are having this. They try to show that there is a community around that. And actually, after the crisis, like the coronavirus, their community was, they were all the first one to come out and have dinner in their place because they want to support the restaurant that they have been enjoying so much from in the past months. So I think in terms of communication, you have to focus on the clients that are already there, the clients that already know you. And of course you want to expand, but there is so much more bucks, let's say, that you could make out of your customers that already know your offer. After that, you have many little games and everything. Chinese consumers, they actually love this. Feedbacks, I think that those are definitely underestimated right now. We shift at some point the management. For some people that know me, I've been saying this a lot, but in the management and the training of our staff, we actually shift a little bit the way we were training them, simply using the average rating that we were getting on the restaurant in Dianping, Ele.me, Meituan, and all the platforms. If there was a review that was made based on the service, we were making both the training but also the bonuses based on the average rating and the marks that we were getting on those platforms. So this is also something that is changing, is that if online has such an impact on your business, then your training and the way you are managing your staff should be linked to this directly. How to extend the party when we talk about food and beverage, it's all about social media. This works we know, like actually a lot of us, we hate it, but that's also the way it works, and we have to know how to use it. So your place has to be Instagrammable. Your dishes, your photos, everything has to be actually very high level in order to make sure that things are interesting. We start to see some restaurants in Shanghai that have been working very well on their design. One of the places that I saw a few years ago was O'Meals on Yongqialu. When I entered the place and I was seeing, actually the first time I went here for lunch, you had a couple of girls that were actually live streaming their lunch. We hate it, we like it, I don't know. However, it's part of the game. So whatever you do, you have to deal with it. So make sure that your place follows some codes, because a lot of people are coming just to take the perfect snap in order to get a few likes. And if in the middle, you can make a few bucks and free marketing out of it by all the spread, you have to use it. You can be very old school in your approach. This is something you still have to deal with. one of the photos that I put here on the right side with the big dude and the wings, this is something that a lot of malls have been, this is coming from an artist from Mexico, if I'm not wrong, that put the wings like this as a sculpture. And a lot of people were taking photos in front of it. And then it turned and it went crazy around social media. And when you look at angel wings like this, wall painting on Google, you will find so many pictures. So many restaurants are using a simple wall, something very simple that people, they cannot wait to take a picture in front of it. This is very simple. I think this is very basic, and this is a little thing that you can have put somewhere in your place. You have to be creative in order to make something a little bit different than others. Then you have all the dedicated platforms. So those are a little bit more complicated to manage. Okay, this is where all the food blogger and wannabe food blogger are going. And same thing, I know many of you hate those guys. You feel like those guys, they have full power on what you do, and they don't know anything about what you're doing, and still they are judging your work. The thing that you're spending years and so much money on trying to make perfect, they don't understand it, and they still judge you. And the problem is that usually those people, they are what we call influencer or opinion leader, is because they have a group of followers, and whatever they are saying, some people are reading it, and sadly you have to deal with it. And here we have an example on the left where you have someone that says something on a social media, and the restaurant owner was actually quick enough to say, actually, we were not open. You have to be able to manage this. So if you cannot do it yourself, you have to have someone in your team that has to check at least on a weekly basis to see what's going on, what is being said, because you don't know how far it can go. And you know that as long as you go down 4.5 out of 5 in terms of rating in most of the platform, you don't count anymore, right? So you have to make sure that you have always the perfect word out there. It's complicated, and you have to deal with this. So once again, I know many of you really don't like it, but I don't see how you could do otherwise. Everything that is linked to booking, okay? Booking, it's something that many of us, we hate in terms of no-shows. You have a big table that is booked. More and more, it gets, some restaurants in Europe, in the US, have been actually asking for deposit in advance, depending on the size of the party. You will be able to ask for a deposit, or depending also the level of your restaurants. But many, let's say mid-range restaurants, they cannot ask really for a deposit. So what we have been doing for group parties, for example, is we try to, of course, get a deposit from all the group, but we know how it turns out. Sometimes it gets very complicated. I think that there is more and more applications now that are offering a solution for this. But I also believe that in controlling all the booking you could do with all the applications that are here for bookings, and we're going to go back to that a little bit later, there are ways to maybe blacklist some clients, or maybe choose who you are going to ask a deposit from. But there is something that can be done here. And because when you get a deposit, this is cash upfront that you are getting. And then you can optimize the table. You have to be able to improve the guest experience. If your clients are getting, like, making an effort on reaching out to you in advance, which is nice, and actually very few people are doing this, you have to be able to make them something special out of it. Okay, they have to be welcome, they have to be expected. I like some restaurants where, or I come from I have a background in hotel management, where you don't know the person, but you knew by arriving at this time that there was a lot of chance that one of these two persons that is going to pass the door around 8 p.m. is actually either table number 1 or table number 2, depending on the number. And you have to be able to, I know it's all about the training, I guess it's complicated, but for some restaurants, I think it's a way more and more to get people expected, right? And to have something special. Knowing your customer is something that is more, it's more accessible. It's easier and easier. Now we have all these applications that we were mentioning before, where you start to collect data. I knew before most of you sign up, I knew who was coming. I know your industry. For some of you, I already asked you on LinkedIn and everything. and I have an idea about who is coming. It's very important. I have 20 guests, let's say, that are joining my restaurant right now, and I had to know who was coming in order to be able to deal with. You can always say that you are busy, there is too much things going on and everything, but still, I think this is something you cannot really go around. Okay, pre-order. I think that on the delivery, when you book for pre-ordering, we start to see some restaurants that are trying to do something like this, okay? Well, I think that Doc on Dagulu in Shanghai, they are passing a world right now where they are doing ready to reheat basically lasagna. I think that for many restaurants that are a little bit high-end, I think this is something that you can definitely work with your signature dishes, something that you don't want, or you want to avoid as much as possible the customer to mess it up. This is maybe something that you can work with. A few years ago, we were working on Leon, which was a platform online. One of the things that we were doing is for special days like Easter, for example, we were doing the lamb chop, and we were doing a ready to reheat. So basically the clients, everything was pre-cooked with all the side dish. They were passing the order in advance, paying in advance as well. So we were basically preparing all the lamb shoulder, the lamb leg, or the lamb chop in advance, but we already got paid for that in order to deliver on Saturday or Sunday, depending on what they were looking for. Everything was already prepared, and they just have to put it in the oven for 20 minutes. This is something that basically we sold out every time because, again, we were only selling and preparing what has been sold. So we were first selling the ticket, then buying the product, then preparing it. So there was no wastage, which is also something that was very important. As you might have heard of, you have Zicoland here. That is all these groups that you have on WeChat that are selling products. Same thing, some distributors are liking it and others are eating it, but at the end, they are doing quite well. And they are launching a new project to help restaurant owner actually to do this kind of things, following this idea of prepared, ready to eat or ready to reheat dishes. Meal plans, we have Benjamin here that is from WIT that is working on meal plan. We are working with Little Ones, which is doing meal plans for baby food, actually, for baby products. Same thing, you have Revo in Shanghai, you have several restaurants that are doing the meal plans in order to have several things that are ready to eat every day. Something that is simple, delivery in China is cheap, it's not the same thing in other countries, but you can have a delivery guy that is coming every day. At least you get your cash in hand up front, which is enough cash for you to develop something else after. In terms of performance, we are going now into the cost. In order to improve your business, definitely you have to look also into the size of the cost. You have so many systems out there. In Shanghai, we are all using different POS systems. You have, here we have some example of Nosh POS on the left. You have BevSite with AddUp, which is their brand new app that they just launched. I think that we have Damien, the founder that is here in the group. These kind of apps are trying to, at a minimum cost, they are trying to make you save a lot of time in order to control your costs, your orders, the management of all your bills, and trying to understand where you are. We all know how it is. Making the numbers when you are a restaurant owner, it's kind of complicated. You are always so much, let's say you are already so busy with managing the floor, managing the kitchen, managing your staff, managing so many things that all doing this Excel document at the end and doing a proper inventory, it doesn't really work all the time, right? Because your mistakes are also gonna be following the mistakes that your staff made while doing other kind of inventory or doing some kind of reordering something that you don't need. You already have a carton of pasta or a carton of cans of whatever. There are other ways to manage your inventory. The problem is that if you don't look at your numbers, if you don't know your numbers, there is no way you can improve it. There is someone that is always saying, you can only improve what you are measuring. If you're not measuring it, you cannot make it better. In terms of cost, it sounds simple. Here, I'm not reinventing anything. This checklist, you know it already, but a lot of people are just avoiding it. You don't want to deal with it, but you have to know your numbers. supply management is getting easier and easier right now to get all these people to also follow and the orders, and to make sure that you are reordering and paying the right price for the right products and reordering only what you need. Inventory, we have been talking a lot about it. You have everything that is linked to damages, theft. If you have a solution for managing theft or controlling theft instead of just big process, I think that having already less cash to handle and everything, there are already ways, but this is not perfect, and this is always a play. I think that there will be already something, as long as, let's say, it's acceptable and it doesn't damage so much, there is something that you can do around that. Stock improvement, we talk about it, improve stock management and turnaround. I think this is one of the mistakes that a lot of people are doing. They order too much stuff, and then it's a lot of waste. Sustainability, I think this is very important. Here we have 3 examples. We have the bamboo straw. I think that some of you are already working on some project around the sustainable straw to avoid plastic. I think that on the left side, you have all the boxes of this very new startup that we are working with, and we are helping because we believe that they are working on something that someone needs to deal with, which is about the reusable packaging. And on the right side, you have the chef that is working on the screen with a scale and a can under that. It's from the startup Winnow, which is also a company that we are working with, to measure the waste of the food waste in restaurants, especially for big buffet and things like this in hotels, in order to make sure that you are not ordering too much. Here is very complicated because the chef wants to have a nice budget in order to play with nice ingredients. But on the other hand, you have the top management that want to make sure that they are only spending the right amount of money. So this is still something that is very complicated. And it's not only about saving money, it's also about saving the environment. And the message is still quite complicated to go through. So everything that is food waste management, recyclable, reusable packaging, this is something that actually work well with your customers. You have more and more people that are interested in doing this. You will save money on not buying so much boxes, plastic box, bags, or whatever, that actually are taking space somewhere and getting a lot of dust and in the back room. And you can actually find other solution. Same thing in China. I know that the minimum orders sometimes are important, but the same way that we are working with a 15 or 18 square meter kitchen, we are only ordering from our central kitchen what we really need. Then there is a problem with the logistic. What we want to do is to minimize also the logistic, minimize the packaging and everything. But you have to find and choose the right battle in order to use whatever you are doing as much as possible for your customer. All of this is a way to communicate nicely. And some people are going to listen to this. So we are in time, perfect. So now the thing is that we have this checklist. You understand that there is no miracle solution. There is no magic stick here to make everything perfect. But this is definitely a few ideas for you where you can work on and try to find better solution. It's not complicated at the end, right? It's either you improve the revenues, and we already talked a little bit about it. So you have the checklist will be reducing the cost. So do you really need so many bottles of soap, oil, rum? That's what I put here. How, if you had a kitchen that was only 20 square meter, do you need such a big room? Could you do delivery? What kind of dishes would you really focusing on? Many markets right now are really focusing on mono products, for example. Isn't it something that you could be looking at? Definitely out of a 20 square meter kitchen, this is plenty of room to do something like this. The 80-20 principle, the 80-20 rule is, for me, something that I would like to do is that we are always looking every quarter, more or less, we are looking at the same things that are selling less. So basically you have 20% of your product that are making 80% of the profit. I think this is clear for everybody. But also you have 20% of your product that are actually 80% of your waste, 80% of your problem. There are dishes that are complicated, nobody wants to buy. So those things you have to take them out, okay? By using the other solution that we talk, digital menus and everything, you don't have to think about reprinting your menu. You have many ways to update something on a on a regular basis, let's say. And also every time you change something, this is a new way for you to communicate this to your customer or follower, your community. So this is a full strategy that you have to keep in mind. Are you overstaffed? A lot of people are having too much staff. There is many ways where maybe now I see that so many restaurants are trying to think on how to share staff. I don't need this IE on this weekend, maybe you can use it. I don't need this waiter, maybe you can use it. And now the regulation also on moving staff around, it sounds complicated, but it's actually absolutely feasible to have several locations where the staff can work. Many restaurants are working like this, restaurants that have several locations. They are capable in terms of insurance and labor contract and everything to have their staff moving around. This is something that you can consider also if you have several locations. And one of the things that I'm doing more with all the entrepreneurs and the startup we are working with, but this is something that is very important for your restaurant, especially in difficult time right now, is that why are you doing this? What is the end goal? Do you want to build an empire? Do you want to have several locations? Do you want to sell your restaurant at the end, a chain? Do you want to sell the brand or just selling the space? Like, what is the end goal? Because everything that you're going to put in place is adding value to, I mean, most of the things, if you do it well, are adding value to this and putting you in the proper direction. But a lot of people are just going in the morning, opening the door, closing at night, putting the chair on the table, the towel on the coffee machine to make it dry, as I say. And the day after, they just go back and they do it again. But what is the end goal? Where are you going with this? This is the kind of question that many of us, all of us, we don't really like to ask ourselves. I think it's something that it's painful sometimes. This is opening doors that you don't really want to look at. On the other side, the revenues, okay? Do you have the same kind of delivery and dining restaurant money? You have to look at it right away. Maybe this is not necessary. Can you reduce the portion, for example? You can change a lot of pricing about that. You have to think about improving the service through the third-party solution. You want to make sure that the dishes are arriving the way you would like it to arrive. Make it fun. People can maybe, you know, put things together. You have the tortilla, you have all the meat and filling and sauce, and people, they redo their own taco. There are many ways to do that right now. I saw some of the burger restaurants also at some point, they were delivering the bun on one side, the beef on the other, patty on the other side, and the sauce after that. This is all problem about packaging, and you have to know your client. And I'm not saying it's a good idea at all. However, you can play around with a few things like this. How to make your staff engaged and accountable. There are many ways that you can manage your staff on this. Training. There are so many people here that could help on this. And you have all the peers, the partners, all your friends that are also owning some restaurants that could be working on this. But you have ways to make your people more and more accountable, meaning that they are responsible for something clear. It's not just showing up and picking up the dishes from the counter to the table. They have to have something that they have to care about. It's terms of HR management. If you deal with your staff like anyway they're going to leave tomorrow, which is for most of them are going to happen, they are anyway probably going to leave tomorrow. There are many staff that maybe some of you know that you have been working for years, and you know somewhere that you did something a little bit different with these people, with your staff in order for them to stay. Why are you not capable of doing this with all the staff? Then you have to review with your team. Someone else should be able to give the extra time for that. Knowing your clients. This is something that I do a lot with the startups. When I deal with startups is, are you solving a problem? Are you solving a need? There is someone, a type of customer, a segment that actually needs something real. How are you solving this problem or this need? If yes, no problem, it's an home run. If not, then it gets complicated. So many restaurants I see are opening because they want to do some kind of food. They want to express their creativity or whatever, but actually, who wants that? Who wants to pay this price for this kind of dish? Who wants to go to this part of the city to open, to go and have something that they could have somewhere else? Like all of this, I think that a lot of people are overlooking it. F&B, the location is very important. Now with the delivery, it's maybe less important, but the way you're going to communicate, it's still something that you're going to need, and the values that you are sharing have to resonate with a part of the segments of the customers that are out there. Did you ask them? That's something also, I know many people, entrepreneurs, restaurant manager, owners that actually don't really talk to their clients, doesn't ask for much than some time and go and listen to your customer. And investing in marketing. Again, you can have the best burger in town. If nobody knows about it, everybody will be just checking and sharing what is on all this magazine that we know how it is to be on the magazine. And we already only going to be talking about the same guys. Are they doing a great job, a better job than you? You don't know, maybe not, but once you're sure is that the customers don't know, that probably you could be doing better. So this is a little bit last slide about what we do and how we can do, but there is a lot of things that we are working with brand, restaurant owner, manager, and we are putting exactly the two sides and the two hats that we're having actually to make sure that we help those brands and those restaurant owners by connecting with the right solution and trying to have a better vision and strategy about the way they are working. So we can think about the strategy, what is missing. We can help them on putting the things in place. This is what we have been doing. We work with, like I was saying, with startups on one hand, F&B concept on the other hand, delivery, on-demand delivery, only kind of projects. Some of them, we are working also in the entertainment industry where it's a lot about gaming and everything, but still 50% of the business is around food and beverage. There are a lot of different projects like this that a lot of them you're going to hear about them in the coming months, but some of the brand you already know them. This is a project that we work on the day-to-day basis. Like we are sitting down with them and trying to think about the right project. If you are interested to reach out, don't hesitate, let us know. And now if you have some question, you can raise your hand or shoot some question and I will be happy to find a way to put you live. If there is no question, here you can find the QR code of our WeChat account where we, for example, recently we published a F&B tech list of everything that is available in China, or not everything, but let's say what is interesting to us. And I believe it's exactly in the continuity of this presentation here, which is everything that is happening in the industry for fundraising, new startups, new projects, and everything. So I think that here it's a checklist. Again, thank you, Paul, for the support. I appreciate it. You have to look at it like it's a checklist, okay? There is a lot of things here you probably know already. But again, you can actually use this to review this with your team. Yes, Khalid, thank you for the feedback. But yes, you can, if you have a project, idea of a concept and everything, you can go online on NextStep Studio-apply or on the presentation that I will be sharing. You will have apply at nextstepstudio.co, where you can send projects, you can reach out to us, or you can add me on WeChat in order for you to discuss your project with us. But go on nextstepstudio.co, you see the address just right here to apply directly. Benjamin, is reusable packaging price competitive for the customer, knowing that we need to spend to pick it up, clean and store? I think that more and more, this is a good question, Benjamin. I think that, as we were saying, there is different things here. In terms of packaging itself, I think it's in the long run. There has been tests already on how many times can you reuse the container, how many times can you actually put some food in it, clean it, and actually reuse it. So it's going to be probably like for the one that we are working with returning plates is close to 100 times, but I think we can even find longer. But I think that you are asking yourselves the wrong question, because what you are doing here is you are trying to do it yourself. And indeed here it's complicated, even though I believe, and because I've seen that in Singapore, where you have this kind of box where platform like Deliveroo, they are integrating the system where they will be, the Deliveroo guy will be able to pick up the container, the box, bringing back to the platform and go back to the process after that, right? So actually, I think that the problem has to be put on the Ulema and Sherpas and everything. I don't see why Sherpas could not do it. Most of the customer anyway are ordering, once they are ordering on Sherpas, they are ordering many, many times. There is something that could be done. A project like returning plates is one of the first one to do that so far that we know. It's a long challenge. I think it's about education. Another good thing in terms of pricing and cost is that this is good communication for you. This is probably another way for your customers to care more about your brand than other brands, about your competition, for example. Jeffrey, can we get the slide? Yes, as I was saying, I'm going to send the slide, and actually you will also later on, I will send you the link. You will have access to this presentation again. If you want to share it with your team, with your partner, your business partner, or friends or whatever. And if you think it's interesting, you will see there will be a quick feedback link after this presentation. I need to know if you liked it and how can we do it better, so that, in the future, we want to focus on treating specifically each of the vertical and going into details. Here again, it's a free webinar. We are trying to share a lot of experience and what we know, but I think that we could go a lot deeper. And again, if you have some ideas, reach out to us. We'll be happy to discuss. I'm going to take maybe a last one, a couple of other questions. If there is something specific to your industry, I'd be happy to take it. I hope you like it. I hope it was interesting. I hope it doesn't scare you either, because it can be a lot on your plate, but there is no other way. Trust me, we are going in more and more into competitive time. Crisis is a good reality check. How do you get customers to come to your place? This is something that is very important. I've seen many people coming from France doing beautiful croissants. They come here in Shanghai and they realize that actually it's not working. One of the problems is that making good croissant is just not good enough. Here you have to be able to deliver it on the other side of the city within 30 minutes. You have to be able to deal with all the KOL and all the girls that are taking selfies with your croissant in your place. You have to deal with the FDA, you have to deal with your staff, you have to deal with so many things, and you are just good at making croissant. And here in Shanghai, I think you have to get a lot of skills in order to make sure you can compete. Doing something great is not just good enough anymore. If you don't have any other question, I think I'm gonna let you there. Hope you like it. Once again, thank you very much for joining this afternoon. And if you have service tonight and your restaurant is open, good luck, have a good service, and we'll talk soon. Thank you very much. Bye.